Inside of your Pinlights Pro kit, you're going to find a number of parts. First, you're going to find a control board with a plastic protective backing. This keeps the bottom of the board from shorting on metal components that are inside of the cabinet. This is the brains of the operation. You're going to find the light bars themselves. You're going to find two 3-pin black light bar cables. These are what connect your light bars to the control board. Two wire clips for maintaining the wiring behind the backboard. Going to find 4 2-pin connector cables. These are what you're going to use to hook to lamp sockets or motors or whatever in order to trigger your Pinlights effects. Going to have a number of wiretap cables. These are just simply one-wire cables with exposed needle ends. These are really good for getting into the backs of connectors and various tight spots, like if you need to hook to the coin door illumination, you can use these to get into those blade and spade connectors. Going to have alligator clips. These are useful for connecting to the lugs of bayonet sockets. You're going to have 4 sets of these. So connecting to lamp sockets, flasher sockets, motor lugs, low voltage coil lugs, and then in the event that you're using the wiretaps, the other end of the needle will usually get put into an alligator clip. So those are useful for getting into all sorts of different connections. You're going to have a number of zip ties for maintaining the wiring inside of the cabinet. And you will also find your power supply here with a US power plug. And yes, that power supply is rated up to 240, so it will work in European countries as well. Optionally, if you ordered the cabinet metal mounting brackets, you'll find a pair of those in the kit as well with the optional adhesive on the backside. If you did not order those, regardless, your Pinlights have a receptive, flexible magnetic strip on the back that will be adhered to the cabinet. You will also have an alcohol wipe for wiping down the cabinet before you attach the light bars to the sidewall. Let's take a look at the Pinlights Pro controller board. It's a little bit easier to go over everything with it outside of the cabinet. So starting from the right, up top you have the nuke button. So in the event that you want to reset your board to factory settings, you can hold this down for about 6 seconds and it will reset and clear out all the rules and get this thing right back to factory settings. You have inputs 1 through 4 right here. These are 48 volt tolerant. Polarity does not matter, so you can connect the plus and minus either direction. Our board will automatically correct for it. Input 1 is almost always GI. We suggest connecting this to a white always on bulb, either underneath the playfield, on the backboard, or the coin door GI lights. And then we do have input status indicator LEDs that will light up when inputs 1 through 4 are active. This is useful for diagnosing whether or not you're actually getting a connection, and you'll use those connections to trigger your lighting rules. We have a status LED down here. This will blink green by default, indicating that the CPU has booted up. It will blink blue if you connect your phone to it, and if you are using a native spike integration through our expansion port up here, you will blink pink. The expansion port is for native systems integrations. We will have integrations planned for Spike, Fast Pinball, Chicago Gaming, Jersey Jack, etc. Those will all interface through here. Some may require add-on boards in the future. We will make sure that those are reasonable. And then we have the left and right light bar connectors. Those will connect with the 3-pin cables that are in your kit to your light bars. You have an accessory out port. This will be used in the future to drive things like undercab lighting, speaker lights, etc. So it can all be synchronized with your Pinlights kit. You have the 5-volt power connector. So your power brick from your game's service port will connect here. You have an auxiliary 1 port. This is useful for if you want to synchronize your Pinlight bars with Stern expression lights. That will connect through aux 1. We'll have other stuff that connects on there in the future. And then right up top here, you have switches 1 through 3. These are useful for direct non-matrixed switch connections. So any game that doesn't use switch matrices or matrices like Jersey Jack, unfortunately uses a switch matrix, but other games that have direct switches, you can connect those here. Makes it nice and simple. You can trigger based on switch events. The board is also located on a protective plastic backing, and so it can sit right on your game's, the floor of your game's cabinet, and that just protects the bottom from shorting out on anything. All right, today we're going to be installing Pinlights Pro on a Stern Foo Fighters machine. We will make sure that we cut over and have pictures of other systems so that we highlight, hey, if you're installing this on a Jersey Jack machine, for instance, or a Chicago gaming machine, you'll be able to still get what you need from this video. So with your game's power off, the first thing we're going to do is locate the service port. In a Stern machine, this is going to be located in the back box right here. In a CGC machine, a Jersey Jack, those are going to be located just inside of the coin door to the right. If your game does not have a service port, you can always plug the Pinlights Pro power brick into a wall outlet and then slip it through a vent hole to the board. And the pin lights will still turn on and off with the game based on the state of the GI connector. So you'll still get what you need there. So the first thing we want to do is we will take our power cables and plug it directly into the service port. Just like this. And then what we want to do is we'll connect the other end to our power brick, and then drop the, and make sure it's in there good and tight, and then drop this end, unravel it, and drop it through the cabinet. So we'll have it. We will store our Pinlights Pro controller board inside of the cabinet. So we're looking at the back of a Foo Fighters playfield. So this is the back board. The front of the playfield is this direction down here. And it's often an easy place to tap into some GI. So oftentimes you'll have a couple of white GIs on the backboard to illuminate the rear of the playfield. So what I've done is I've connected our alligator clips to each of the lugs right here. So looking at that, the lugs right there, we've connected our alligator clips, and I've also taken our ratcheting clips, our wire maintenance clips, little black ones here. I've taken those and have pulled off the adhesive paper liner and adhered them to the backboard as well. So that is our GI. And then I've zip tied. You always want to zip tie so that the alligator clips don't move. So I've zip tied and run the cable down so I can get at it with the other end of the cable. And then we'll take this end, the black end of the cable, right there, and plug it into the other end of our connector. All right, we'll go ahead and plug it in right here. There it is. So now we've got the cable ready to connect to the GI section on our Pinlights Pro control board. So we have the control board right here. We'll go ahead and just hook GI. Again, GI is always on input 1. So connected right there to input 1. There. Cool. On to the next connector. All right, this chapter is for those of you on Pinball Brothers games or weird games where you can't really get at a GI connection because they don't have any of the bayonet bulbs with the lugs that we saw like on our backboard. So what we want to do is we want to look at the coin door GI. So inside the coin door, you've got these two GI connections right here. Those are a good source, commonly 12 volts. So those will more than trigger our Pinlights GI connection. So what we want to do is we'll pull the lugs and we'll take one of our needle pin connectors there so that we can get into the back of this lug. So inserting the pin into, so you'll see the lug has these two little loops in it. So what we'll do is we'll insert the pin like that, and then we'll kink it 180 degrees. And then we will put the connector back on. It's a little tight, but just push it on, and there you go. Same thing with the bottom one. Well, I should have done the bottom one first. We'll pull the lug out, we'll take another needle connector, put it in kink 180, and then slide it back on. You can always solder these too if this isn't your thing. Solder is generally preferred, just because it'll outlive us all. There you go. And those are nice and tight. And then what we'll want to do is use our included zip ties, and we'll want to zip tie all of this back together, and then use our alligator clips. So our alligator clips, doesn't matter which pin goes to what, will go just like that. There you go. And there you go. And then what we would want to do is sort of route all of this and zip tie it. Let me see if I can get you a better angle here. I want to reroute all this and zip tie it back into the cable harness so it all stays taut. And then this end, like we showed on the backboard, is going to connect to one of our 2-wire cables, just like that. Just like this. It's going to connect to one of our 2-wire cables, and then the Molex end is going to go back to the GI connector, or whatever connector you want, on our Pinlights controller board. And that is how you connect to a coin door GI socket. In the event that you're wanting to integrate natively with the Stern Spike system, you will receive a splitter and 2 Ethernet cables. Looks a lot like this. So what we want to do is let's target our cabinet node board. If you have a spare RJ45 jack in the CPU up in the back box, you can use that too, but oftentimes I'll use the cabinet node. So what we'll do is we'll unplug the network cable that's already going to your cabinet node. We'll plug that into this end of the splitter, just like that. And then we'll plug either of the 2 cables into your cabinet node board, and we'll tidy up the cables a bit. And then the free, or the spare RJ45 or Ethernet cable is going to go directly into our expansion port on the Pinlights Pro board, like so. So just like that. If you're using the Stern Spike integration, you're pretty much done at this point. You'll have your 1 GI connected. We connected ours to the backboard. And then you'll have your Spike integration coming in through the expansion port, Ethernet jack on the Pinlights Pro board. That's all you need. You'll be able to power up your board and then get on to the next step. If you're not using that, we'll go ahead and look at a couple of other connection options. Now, in the event that you want to connect to a flasher, what you would do is you'd locate your 2 flasher lugs here, and you would strip out any of the heat shrink tubing that is hanging around your flasher connector, and you'll take a pair of your alligator clips. You'll connect one to one lug and one to the other lug. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that they're not shorting on anything. So you can check them with a multimeter and make sure they're not shorted together. Make sure the clips themselves aren't touching, and then use some of the included zip ties to zip tie everything back into the nearest cable harness here. And that'll keep these clips from moving as you raise and lower your play field, and it'll keep that connection steady. Then what you'll do is you'll take another one of your 2-wire connectors, and you'll plug the black ends together, and then run that out to your Pinlights controller board. That will go into any one of the inputs 2, 3, and 4. Now, in the event that you're connecting this to a Jersey Jack game, they commonly use these what are called high-rose connectors, which are these little 4-pin squares. So typically what we would suggest is using the wiretaps with the needle ends. You'd use those and connect to pins 1 and 2 on the high-rose connector. So to locate pins 1 and 2, they are printed on there, but if you're looking at the wire end, okay, and this is the plastic tip, the little plastic notch is facing up. So if we turn that around, again, plastic notch facing up on the far end, pins 1 and 2 are going to be your left column right here, okay? So what we would do is we'd take one of the needle ends and stick it into the back of pin 1, just kind of follow the wire. And basically what you want to do is make sure that the metal contacts the metal jacket, the metal crimp connector inside of the housing, just like that. Then go right below it, same deal. Take the needle node, or take the needle end, plug it in, see if you can get some friction there. There it is. Okay. Then what you'd want to do is zip tie those down just like that so that they stay, and then the remaining needle ends would connect to one of your set's alligator clips just like this. So clip one there. Again, polarity doesn't matter. Our board will automatically account for that. And then get the other alligator clip in there just like that. You may want to wrap some tape around here just to keep the metal parts from making contact. And then zip tie the alligator clip portion in, at least with one zip tie to the nearest wire harness, and that'll keep the clips themselves from moving and getting the pins out, and then you'd reconnect that. That is the most common GI connector on a JJP game, and that's how to connect to it with Pinlights Classic or Pinlights Pro. You use that approach and you're good to go. And then use one of your black 2-pin long cables, connect here, and that'll go into inputs 1 through 4 on the Pinlights Pro board. All right, with all of our connections connected, we've got our GI connected right here. Since we are using a Stern interface, a spike interface, we have that plugged in here off of our splitter. And then if you are on another game platform, like a Jersey Jack or CGC, you'd be using inputs 2, 3, and 4 right here to connect to your various other bulbs, motors, coils, whatever. And last but not least, if we just plug in our power, coming in from our back box, we're good to go there. And we should be ready to power this thing up and get things going. And it is safe to just, with the plastic backing on that comes with the stock board, it's already attached whenever you get it. You can just let that rest right there on the bottom of the cabinet. It's not going to hurt anything at all. Without the light bars connected, let's go ahead and power the thing up and test. All right, so first we get the blinking green, which is good. That means that the CPU has booted up and the Pinlights board at least has a pulse. You'll see it oscillate since we are using a Stern integration. You'll see it oscillate probably between green and pink while it boots up, but we'll wait for the game. And pink does signify that it's getting spike node bus level data. So looks good. That tells us that all of our RJ45 connections are good. We can proceed to mounting the light bars and finishing up the install. Also, we know that our GI connection is good because we can see the status LED right there on input 1. Let's see if I can get you a better view of that. You see the status LED on input 1 right there. The orange LED is on. So that means if I disconnect that cable, see that light go off, that means we're getting a good GI input signal, which means our Pinlights Pros will work as expected. Go ahead and lay that in the bottom of the cabinet. Let's get those light bars mounted. All right, so first we need to disable auto updates so that future updates from Stern don't break your integration in the event that you are using the Stern integration with your Pinlights Pro. So first we'll hit select to go into the service menu, and we'll scroll over to net, and we'll scroll all the way down to software update, hit enter on that, and then wait for it. Hit enter again. And then what we want to do is select no auto download. We'll hit enter, and that will keep Stern updates from breaking your integration. Preparing for the light bars to get installed here, we're going to take our 3-pin cables. You should have 2 in your kit. We're going to take the black JST end, and that's going to get looped on these little wire clips that we included that you adhered earlier. We'll take the other cable, again, black end, and we will loop it right here on the retaining clip There you go. And we'll ratchet it down so the cables stay put. So this is our left side of the game. I'm going to pick up our Pinlights Pro board, and that is going to get connected to the left socket. Okay, so that is labeled. It's on the silk screen, so we'll connect that to left. We'll take the other right side here, take that white 3-pin Molex connector, and that's going to go on the right connector there. That's pretty much all of our connections for the Pinlights Pro board, so we're sitting pretty there. Let's go ahead and get the light bars installed. So looking at the front of the game, we've got the light bars let down here. We'll go ahead and separate them. Your light bars will have a flexible mag strip that is magnetized to the light bar itself. That is useful if you haven't ordered the cabinet mounting brackets. If you have ordered the cabinet mounting brackets, you can remove that strip and we'll install those directly to the metal brackets. But if you did not order those brackets, leave the strip on, and we'll get to that in just a second when we actually mount the light bars to the sidewalls. But what we'll do is we'll take our right side light bar here, we'll connect it to the cable that we ran through the wire clip behind the backboard. Repeat the same thing for the left side. Leave yourself a little bit of slack. Makes installing it a little bit easier. Once we let the play field down, we can always tidy up our cables. And again, we'll leave a little bit of slack on the left side. Let's go ahead and let the play field down. If you're installing light bars using the flexible mag strip, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to peel off that paper liner while keeping the flexible strip attached to the magnet. So peel the white paper liner off. And then what you want to do is you want to kind of line up the top. You can use your thumb, makes it a little bit easier. You'll line up the top of the light bar with the bottom of the glass channel. And once your paper liner is removed, you'll get the back pretty close to the back of the play field. And just kind of center it up. Again, make sure that the top of the light bar is below the bottom of the glass channel. You don't want the glass hitting the top of the light bar. That would be bad. And then once your paper liner is off, you're going to press down and run your hand over the length of the light bar. You're using the light bar to apply pressure to that adhesive strip. Then you'll peel the light bar off, and then you'll want to press down your mag strip. Now, since we are probably going to put arc blades on this game, we are not going to use the flexible strip, so we're just going to go ahead and remove that. Now, we'll keep it in case we want to transfer this to another game in the future. We'll have the strips to do it. You don't have to buy them from us. They came for free with your kit. But we'll take our cabinet mounting brackets and we'll install those. So they do come with a plastic protective covering on the top. You'll want to peel the plastic off of that black side. It just kind of protects it from scratching and marring during production and shipment. And then what we'll do, this does have an optional adhesive on the back. We include it with every single set you order, but you don't have to use the adhesive. That's mostly for if some of the tolerances are a little bit looser, maybe on older games, it's kind of worn out. But what we'll do is we will install our clip. So the short side, right? The short side of the bracket is going to go underneath the plastic glass channel. It's going to go between the plastic glass channel and the wood. It's not going to go inside the glass channel where the glass goes. The glass will never touch this bar. So don't do that. So what we're going to do is we'll kind of take a fingernail and lift the glass channel a little bit off of the bottom, and then we'll slide that steel in there and just press it against the cabinet. Okay, and if you're using your adhesive, just peel the paper liner off and you'll be able to press it into place. And then at that point, nice and simple, light bar goes directly onto the steel surface. Repeat for the other side. Let's go ahead and do that right now. We'll take our plastic glass channel, lift it up a little bit, and throw in our cabinet mounting bracket. That's a nice steel surface for us to glob onto. And take the other bar. We've removed the flexible mag strip from it, and we'll magnetize right onto there. Now, if the brackets don't want to stay put or don't want to stay flush against the side of the cabinet, use that adhesive. Make it work for you, and get your light bars all mounted in there. So light bars are installed. Let's power the game up. See if it works. There it is. Light bars are on. These are all default settings, so we have light. Let's see if we can pan down a little bit. Take a look. Kind of zoom out a little bit. Yeah, looking really great. So now we're about ready to go into the app and start configuring things. We will cut that into another video. We just wanted to get a quick install video out for Pinlights Pro, kind of show you how to install it in a variety of systems and get yourself up and running. And at this point, we would either open the app and try to find a preset. If there wasn't a preset for our Foo Fighters with our spike integration, we could create our own. If we were on a game where we were using multiple analog inputs, we would start assigning rules to whether or not those analog inputs were on or off or whatever. I mean, you can even do a rule that it says, hey, when the GI goes off, run this effect. Do all that in the app, nice and simple. And you can even create a preset and share it with other people. We appreciate you hanging out with us and getting these pros installed inside of a Stern Foo Fighters or whatever game you're installing them in. Hopefully it was easy enough. If you have questions, please feel free to contact us. We're more than happy to be a second set of eyes and verify what you're connected to, etc. We hope you really enjoy your kit.